Bermuda legalizes same-sex marriage again. And in sport, West Indies begin their test series against Sri Lanka. I'm Dawn Paris, and this is the Caribbean in 10 for Wednesday, June 6th. I'll be back with the details after the break.
What goes on social media stays on social media. And especially for youth, social media mistakes can stay with you for a lifetime. In Tobago, young people are being encouraged to think positive and use social media platforms to create development opportunities. That's why the Division of Sport and Youth Affairs conducted a social media training workshop for youth and youth organizations.
Guyana Carnival is here. Guyana has now joined other countries in the celebration of Carnival, which is now a long-standing tradition. All the West Indian islands have a carnival celebrated at different dates in the year. They are all highly colorful masquerades with top-of-the-line entertainment. Well, on Wednesday, Guyana launched its version, which some say holds important conceptual differences.
Bermuda's Supreme Court has just ruled in favor of same-sex marriage, making it legal in the country yet again. Chief Justice Ian Kawale ruled that gay couples can once again marry in Bermuda after he upheld a constitutional challenge against the Domestic Partnership Act 2018. Bermuda officially legalized same-sex marriage in May last year, but then it became the first country in the world to repeal such legislation in February of this year. The repeal officially came into effect just days ago on June 1st, but now the Supreme Court has ruled against the repeal, effectively re-legalizing marriage equality. Delivering his judgment before a packed courtroom, the judge said the sections of the Act which revoked the right to same-sex marriage were invalid because they were inconsistent with provisions in Bermuda's constitution which give the right to freedom of conscience and creed. The latest civil proceedings in the Supreme Court were brought against Attorney General Kathy Lynn Simons by gay Bermudians Rod Ferguson and Mary Ellen Jackson and the charity Out Bermuda. The plaintiffs claimed the part of the Act that reaffirmed that a marriage is void unless the parties are male and female was unconstitutional.
You know, the right thing has been done. We now have to hope that the government recognize that this is the right thing and that this isn't perpetuated out any longer. But, you know, the judgment really with respect to Chief Justice is one for the ages. I think it'll be looked at across the Commonwealth in case anybody else think that they can, you know, interfere with the human rights of individuals and with equality. It really is that level of depth to it with regard to what it addresses. And I just think it's fundamentally the right thing that this has occurred this way in Bermuda, that constitutionally, you know, that the law as stands with regard to the issues on same-sex marriage have been struck down. And it's simple as that.
Most CARICOM countries yesterday abstained from a vote at the Organization of American States, the OAS, as the hemispheric body approved a resolution calling for an extraordinary assembly to vote on suspending Venezuela from the 34-member group. The OAS General Assembly voted with 19 member states in favor, 4 against, and 11 abstaining to take the first step to suspending the South American nation. In yesterday's vote, the Bahamas, Barbados, Guyana, and Jamaica supported the resolution, while Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines voted against the measure. Belize, Grenada, Haiti, St. Kitts Nevis, St. Lucia, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago were among the 11 member states that abstained during the vote. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Jorge Arriaza said Caracas rejected the OAS Assembly's decision and it would enable the United States to continue its economic war against the socialist government. The resolution was spearheaded by the U.S., which condemns President Nicolas Maduro's re-election last month. Maduro won the May 20th election that the Venezuelan opposition, along with Washington and other Latin American countries, have decried as a sham. OAS members have expelled only 2 nations in its history. Cuba was forced out in 1962, and Honduras was suspended briefly following a 2009 military coup. The ban of Cuba was lifted in 2009, but the island country rejected rejoining the organization. Venezuela's president has already described the OAS as a pawn of U.S. foreign policy, and last year his government said it had started the 2-year process to pull out of the organization. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is throwing his support behind the use of marijuana for religious and medicinal purposes. This comes less than a week after a senior member of his cabinet called on Dominicans to begin a debate on the issue of decriminalization of marijuana for medical purposes or otherwise. Speaking on a radio program last night, Skerrit says while he supports the use of marijuana for religious and medicinal purposes, discussions must first be held with local and international stakeholders before any legislation is brought to Parliament.
There are many people in this country who have proclaimed that marijuana oil is helping them fight cancer and to treat with issues relating to the suffering from cancer. And I believe that the country, the citizens of Dominica, need to seriously engage on this matter of marijuana for medicinal purposes, to explore the medicinal benefits of marijuana. But you cannot just take a decision and leave it like that. There are a number of other aspects one has to consider. The issue of how do you grow it, under what conditions do you grow it, the issue of licenses, the issue of permits, where can you buy it, who can sell it, who can grow it. There are a number of things in terms of legislation and regulation that you would have to look at. And I believe, myself personally, from a philosophical standpoint, I believe that we need to allow people who are registered as Rastafarians in certain localities, certain areas, or for where they practice the religion, to be allowed to use this for religious purposes.
Stay with us. Your Midday Sport is next. A look at sports now. West Indies opted to bat first and were just shy of a century at lunch on the opening day of the first test against Sri Lanka at Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad today. The hosts reached 99, but with the loss of 3 wickets. Kiran Powell reached 38, while Shea Hope was on 29 not out. West Indies have never lost any of the previous 3 home series to Sri Lanka, winning 2 and drawing 1. In 3 previous tours of the Caribbean, Sri Lanka are yet to win a series, losing 2 and drawing 1. Overall, they have won just 1 test and lost 3 and drawn 2, reflecting their dismal record on regional soil. But the last time the 2 sides met in Sri Lanka, the hosts easily swept the 2-test series, and with West Indies decimated by New Zealand in their last test series 7 months ago, the visitors will believe now is a good time as any to break their Caribbean jinx. And the Grenada government is rewarding several sportsmen and sportswomen for their achievements in athletics and cricket with cash, land and official passports. Sports Minister Norland Cox made the announcement yesterday during a post-cabinet briefing which was attended by one of the awardees, Commonwealth Games gold medalist Lyndon Victor. And that's the Caribbean in 10. Join us at 6:30 this evening for Caribbean Newsline. Thank you.